On May 12, 2025, a pivotal moment in hip-hop history unfolded as Sean Diddy Combs faced trial in federal court. This was not about his musical achievements or business ventures. It was a harrowing case involving allegations of trafficking, racketeering, and transportation for prostitution. The courtroom buzzed with anticipation, drawing journalists, spectators, and lawyers eager to witness what felt more like a cinematic thriller than a legal proceeding. Elizabeth Miller likened the atmosphere to The Hunger Games, as crowds wrapped around the block. Diddy, appearing calm in a gray sweater and slacks, sat quietly reading from a Bible, a stark contrast to the storm brewing in the courtroom. Once the judge called the session to order, the chilling details began to emerge. The jury, composed of 8 men, 4 women, and 6 alternates, was a diverse cross-section of the public, ready to hear claims involving celebrities and abuse. Defense attorneys immediately challenged the prosecution's jury selections, alleging unfair dismissal of 7 black jurors, but the judge dismissed their claims, and the jury was set. Assistant U.S. Attorney Emily Johnson delivered the opening statement, painting a horrifying picture of Diddy as a predator who had operated in plain sight for over 2 decades. Johnson alleged that he orchestrated a vast criminal conspiracy involving arson, trafficking, crimes, kidnapping, and coercion. Central to the prosecution's case was Cassandra Cassie Ventura, a woman who had been controlled and abused by Diddy, her former partner. The jury also learned about another woman, referred to only as Jane, who was allegedly drawn into Diddy's web of manipulation, forced into encounters to satisfy him. Prosecutors claimed that Cassie was both a victim and a planner, in a system where noncompliance had dire consequences. They alleged that Diddy controlled every aspect of her life, even breaking into her apartments and men she dated. The prosecution's star evidence was a video from the 5th of March, 2006 at the Intercontinental Hotel, depicting a brutal hallway would later become public due to a CNN leak. Officer Israel Flores, the first responder, described Cassie's state as she cowered in a corner, while Diddy allegedly offered him hush money, which he refused. The courtroom was further shaken by the testimony of Daniel Phillips, a performer and dancer who recounted being paid by Cassie to engage in while Diddy watched. His shocking account detailed how he was contacted for what he thought was a bachelorette party, only to find Cassie in lingerie and Diddy in disguise. Phillips described being instructed on how to touch Cassie and when to stop, while Diddy allegedly watched and even asked Phillips to on Cassie. The fear of retribution loomed large, as Phillips testified that Diddy had photographed his ID, making him feel hunted. As the trial progressed, Diddy remained composed, often taking notes while his daughters exited the courtroom during graphic testimonies. The trial had transformed into a reckoning, exposing the dark underbelly of the entertainment industry. The defense strategy was clear: attack the credibility of witnesses. They focused on Officer Flores, highlighting discrepancies in his report, and questioned Phillips's account, blurring the lines between consensual encounters and exploitation. Cassie, a former pop star and Diddy's protege, testified about her traumatic relationship that began when she was just 19. She described a decade-long descent into abuse, revealing violence, emotional torment, and Cassie spoke of losing her identity and mental health, living in fear under Diddy's control. The defense attempted to undermine her claims, suggesting she had access to the tapes Diddy used for blackmail, but the power dynamics were undeniable. With charges ranging from racketeering to trafficking, Diddy faced the possibility of life in prison. Even a lesser conviction could be spun as a victory for his legal team, preserving his empire despite a damaged reputation. The prosecution aimed to prove that this was not merely an isolated incident, but a calculated pattern of abuse fitting the RICO framework. As Cassie's cross-examination loomed, the courtroom braced for the defense's strategy, which could either alienate the jury or tread carefully in light of the overwhelming evidence. This case transcended one man's fate. It was about the accountability of unchecked power. The past week in the Southern District of New York marked a significant moment where the world shifted from watching the mogul to listening to the survivors.